There are a lot of opinions and differing strategies on how to deal with the distraction of cell phones in the classroom and at home. To discuss, we are joined by Dr. Michael Horne, the Director of Clinical Services at Catholic Charities for the Diocese of Arlington, Virginia. He is a Catholic psychologist who has previously served as a school counselor, and he's the author of The Tech Talk: Strategies for Families in a Digital World. Dr. Horne, thank you so much for joining us. You know, we heard about the distractions of cell phones, but as a psychologist, as a former school counselor, as a father, can you speak to whether cell phone usage does impact a child's brain? And if so, how?
Absolutely. I think it's right to say cell phones are a distraction, but that's really understating it. It's a distraction in the same way that a fire in a kitchen is a distraction. It can do a lot more than distract your attention. It can actually cause a lot of damage. There is research now that NIH has put out talking about the impact of cell phones on neurological development. And children who are on screens, including smartphones, for anything up to 4 hours a day show delays in developing communication skills, in problem solving. They actually show less creativity. They show delays in social skill development, and actually even show delays in fine motor skills, because they don't have to do the things in the real world that we would expect people to do when you're not just holding a phone.
And I imagine a lot of these children are on screens for more than 4 hours a day. Is it especially problematic for middle schoolers and that age group? Because as they're just beginning to go through puberty, I understand a child's brain undergoes, a period of elasticity. Can you speak to that?
Certainly can. The period in middle school is crucial. That's a period in psychological development where kids are really understanding their identity. And identity is rooted in relationship. It's not just who am I, it's who am I in relationships with others. So using a smartphone, using a device, it's not just the technology, it's what are they doing with it. It's the connection to social media. It's the connection to other people that warps the understanding of what healthy relationships look like. How can we develop strong relationships if we don't really know who we're talking to? It can be very confusing for someone trying to understand who they are.
In such foundational years. In his latest book, and it's a popular one, The Anxious Generation, moral psychologist Jonathan Haidt suggests that phones are rewiring children's brains and are causing what he says is an epidemic of mental illness. He says it's largely due to a decline in a play-based childhood and a rise in a phone-based childhood. Do you have any thoughts on that theory?
I do. It's a great point. When we talk about a phone-based childhood, what we're talking about is everything in reality is now mediated through a device. We don't have the ability to connect with God's creation in a healthy way. We're lacking the opportunity to flourish. One of the things that we've noticed in the field in play therapy in particular, which is a model in which kids use toys and play in an unstructured environment to work on anxiety and depression, other healthy growth. Kids don't know how to play anymore.
Wow.
Because what happens is that the toy doesn't tell them what to do. The toy doesn't present something for them to automatically engage with. They're used to these electronic devices. And when you are used to engaging in the world with an electronic device in an electronic way, it becomes more difficult to shift and engage in a non-electronic way.
Well, let's talk about just practical advice, because I'm sure our viewers are really hungry for that. What is your recommendation for Catholic parents? A lot of parents want to feel connected to their children for safety reasons. So should they give their child a phone? Is there a specific age they should give their child a phone?
It's a really great question, and I think what I would love for all families to do is actually have conversations about what works for them. This is one of the biggest questions I get from parents. How old should my kid be to use a phone? How much screen time is too much screen time?
Right.
And I do what a lot of psychologists do, which is say, it depends. How much cake is too much cake for a kid? Well, is the kid gluten intolerant? Does the kid have an issue with sugar? It really depends on the family and on the kid. What we need to do, though, is be intentional. Have conversations about what is the role of the device? What is the role of the technology? How do we want that to play into our family? Because it has an impact on our relationships. It has an impact on our culture, the culture within the family. I think one of the biggest things that we as parents can do is know what our kids are doing. We can't just assume that if we hand them a device or anything, it's necessarily a good thing. We want to have a solid relationship so that we can have those conversations with them. Who are you talking to? What are you doing? What does that feel like? Why is that important to you? What really matters? The other thing parents need to do is, if you're going to set the rule, follow the rule. You actually have to go ahead and do what you say you want your kid to do, because otherwise kids will assume, well, if you're not doing it, why is it important for me to do it?
Requires discipline on the adult's part as well, and it sounds like truly knowing your child. Just a follow-up to that, what are your thoughts on these so-called dumb phones, if you will, a phone that simply makes calls and texts but doesn't have access to the internet and a camera?
I think in a lot of situations, that's a really great thing to have. Recently, we went ahead and got a dumb phone for our kids to use. So if we're dropping them off at soccer or ballet, they can go ahead and call us if they need to, but they don't need to have everything else. Other families really believe that having a smartphone can be a helpful thing, but it needs to be balanced. And there are certain devices that you can actually go ahead and set your phone up that your smartphone becomes a dumb phone when you hold it up to basically a separate block. You can then put this block away. It acts like a key. So that way, once you touch it to this device, your smartphone just makes calls or just receives text messages, however you set it up. And then when you decide that actually you do want to go ahead and unlock this, you do want to have all of it, you can make that decision. It's interesting because this technology developed as a way to make phones more productive, increased production time, less distraction.
Right.
However, what people are finding is that they feel less anxious. They feel less worried because there isn't that pressure to always be connected. The fear that you might miss something, the fear that the phone buzzing in your pocket could be something really important that you have to attend to.
Probably just brings more silence into your day as well, which is we all need more of. What's your advice then to Catholic schools? We heard your advice to parents. What about to Catholic schools? We are seeing different approaches to how schools are handling this.
We are, and in the Diocese of Arlington, we're looking at how to go ahead and restrict the phone. Certainly some of the schools have said no phones at all from the time you come in to the time you leave. We're going to go ahead and lock those phones in a magnetic pouch. I think the role of the school is to help the kids learn and flourish. And if there is anything that would prevent that, any distraction, we would want to eliminate that. If there was, say, a smoke alarm that was beeping in a classroom every 30 seconds and was preventing students from actually paying attention, actually learning the material, we would fix that. We wouldn't let that go. But if it's a phone buzzing every 30 seconds in your pocket, we should probably take care of that for our students as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Michael Horne, thank you so much. There's a lot to navigate here with the ever-changing technology. Really grateful for your expertise and your insight.
My pleasure.
Thank you.